Welcome to My Parents Lied to Me, the podcast about navigating aging, loss, and all the midlife changes no one warned us about. I'm Nicole Porter, here with real stories and expert advice to help you face what's now and what's next. I have a special guest today. Her name is Shawna Schmeisser. Yes? Pronounced it right?
You did.
Awesome.
You did.
Shauna is an estate planning attorney, and I just wanted to give you a little insight into what an estate plan is, things that you need to know, just the basics. I mean, obviously, we can't cover every little thing because one situation is super different. But I just want to ask a few questions with her and kind of go over what an estate plan is, why it's important to have one, and how it's going to save you and your family so much grief if and when something happens. So thanks for talking with me today, Shauna.
Thank you so much for having me. I think that what you do is so important and educating your viewers about estate plans because it can really just relieve so much burden and relieve so much off your children if you have that estate plan in place. Traditionally, an estate plan is used to avoid probate. So any of your beneficiaries who you want to receive any part of your estate do not have to go through probate. That's a big reason why people choose to do estate plans.
Why don't people want to go to probate? Sorry. Well, I mean, obviously, this is a topic we'll keep talking about over and over, but I don't think people really understand, why don't you want probate?
Well, probate is what happens when somebody dies intestate. That means they die without a will. And if somebody dies without a will or without having some form of trust or beneficiary deeds or listing beneficiaries on their accounts, it will go through probate, which is the court system. That takes a lot of time and a lot of money.
How much time? Years
sometimes
or
2 years,
2 years? Okay.
at least $20,000.
So it's going to tie up money, funds, time,
grief.
all of the things.
So another important reason why people want to avoid probate is because you're dealing with grief. You are dealing with spending money. You're dealing with the court system. And you're just dealing with a lot and you don't want it's a lot for the children or the trustee or the executor of the estate to go through all of this. And it could be like $20,000, whereas an estate plan, ranges definitely less than 10,000.
Right. And a judge isn't necessarily going to abide by all your wishes, right? I mean, it's a judge's decision. It's an unbiased third party. They have nothing.
It's not up to you. So it really makes you powerless. And I think that estate plans actually empower you to make your decisions. How do you want to live the rest of your life? Oh, so that's another component of the estate plan. So we have typically either a trust or a will, or we have a trust and a court over will. And then the third component are the powers. So we have the durable power of attorney. We have the durable medical healthcare power of attorney. And I always like to include the final disposition as well, HIPAA waivers. It also includes the living will. And it allows you to outline how you want the end of your life to look like.
Is there one person that can be powers of all, or do you need different people to do different powers?
You can have
and there's 4 powers of attorney, correct? I've heard medical, mental, financial, and I think
in Arizona, we have 3 different types.
3.
We have mental health care power of attorney, durable, general, medical power of attorney.
Yeah.
So you have the medical, general, and you have the mental.
Okay.
Now, sometimes in Arizona, you also need the dementia directive.
Okay.
And so that's an important thing to consider when you're doing your estate plan. Does dementia run in your family? Is that something you might need to, plan for? Do you want to die in your home? Do you want to be comforted by family and friends? Do you want to be artificially fed? So those are all things to contemplate. And we provide that in the estate plan. So not only do you get to think about how you want your estate distributed, but you also get to think about the personal items that you love, your memorabilia. important jewelry, things that are just sentimental.
Right. I heard a story from another attorney that said the kids fought over like a surfboard or boogie board or something, or grandma's toaster. The kids had different memories from grandma's toaster. So they had to go to court to dispute the toaster. But I'm sure that's not typical.
That's not typical.
But you never know what happens. And I think that's why it is very important for people to consider the estate plan, because just to avoid conflicts like this. And maybe you have to have those conversations with your family. Like, hey kid, hey grandkids, are you going to fight over grandma's toaster? What are there things? And maybe the grandparent can still have those conversations while they're still healthy. Then everybody's just at peace when grandma goes, and they know exactly what they're going to get of grandma's.
Yeah, they know
Right.
exactly what they're going to get. And I just want to emphasize the relief
Mm,
that somebody can feel
right.
when they get that estate plan done. And also for whoever's going to be the power of attorney. Because in order to become a personal representative after somebody's death, you have to go through probate. If you don't have
Okay.
these powers already in place. And that process is exhausting. I mean, you're dealing with death, a recent death. Maybe you want to get Facebook photos off of a loved one's phone, but you can't access it because you're not the durable power of
Oh,
attorney.
that's interesting. But it doesn't even happen upon death with the power of attorney. Like,
Right.
like if they just get incapacitated for any reason, or end up in the hospital and can't speak, or in a coma or things like that, maybe they are going to recover. But in that time that they are incapable, it's super important,
Right.
correct?
But it could also be triggered even if they are not incapacitated. So it just depends on what you want. For example, like just because you're married to somebody doesn't give them power of attorney over you to
Okay.
to transact on your behalf on your financial accounts. So many married couples end up granting the power of attorney to their spouse, even though they're not incapacitated. So you can decide whether or not and when you want the power of attorney to come into effect.
Okay. Very good. So I know everybody's going to have different questions about what about this? What about that? What about, so can you break it down? What does it look like when somebody comes to you and says, I think I need an estate plan? Can you kind of break it down into pieces of how you analyze their situation and help them make those decisions on life, death, future planning, powers of attorney, and all that things? Can you kind of just break it down and say, hey, when I meet somebody, this is what it looks like? So
For,
it's not so overwhelming, just so they have an idea of
yeah,
like all the things they have to think about.
so it's not so overwhelming, I have to say. I try to make it fairly simple. You call me, I send you an intake form. The intake form will ask you questions such as who do you want to be in charge of your estate when you die? Who do you want to make medical decisions on your behalf? Who do you want to make any financial decisions on your behalf? It asks you questions like, do you have children? What are the ages of your children? Do any of your children have substance abuse issues? Do you want to disinherit anybody? And that is actually fairly common,
Right.
unfortunately. But there's different circumstances for everybody. And so it just depends. And, I honor whatever that person wants. And I do believe that everybody deserves a right to have their estate plan drafted the way they want it done.
So say they don't have children. What does that look like?
Oh, I've seen all sorts of different things. I've seen one person give $100,000 to their best friend upon their death to go on a trip around the world. I've seen somebody give their whole entire estate to their next door neighbor. I've seen somebody leave their entire estate as a surprise to their best friend's daughter so that she will be surprised when it's time for her to go to college. So there's all sorts of different things. You can leave your estate to charity. You can make a foundation. There's all sorts of different ways to leave like footprint on the life you led here
Okay.
on, in this world.
That's really cool. What is something when they sit down and do an estate plan, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of this. I'm so glad you brought this up. Do you have a
Ugh,
situation or a story you could share with about that?
maybe I would say that, most people don't think about writing, listing a beneficiary
Okay.
in their accounts.
Oh, okay.
In their for their
Yeah, talk more about that, because my parents just had a will, no estate plan. but we were listed as beneficiaries
Okay,
on all the
that's
accounts and on the house. Pretty
so
easy.
you were able to avoid probate
Hmm.
in many ways.
Yes.
Yes. So there are probate avoidant ways to do your estate plan without a trust.
Okay.
It's very possible. And it usually comes into play when you don't have many children, you don't have a ton of assets, you don't have beneficiaries listed. It's really good when there's a very complex situation where you want distribution to take place at different stages or milestones for your children or your grandchildren, for example.
Like when they go away to college or when
A lot of
they buy their first house or,
or
like,
get married.
okay.
Yeah, different milestones or ages. And so that is a good time I suggest to make a trust.
Okay.
Also, if there's different, you know, different family situations, blended families,
Mhm.
um, all sorts of different things. Also, if you want, things to be private. Now a trust is generally a private document that you don't have to disclose after death unless that person is the beneficiary.
Okay.
I
Explain
know.
that a little bit more.
So I
How does that
know,
work?
I know.
How do you keep a secret trust?
Well, so it's private.
Okay.
It's not secret. It's private.
Okay.
It's a private document that shares how you want to distribute your property
Okay.
after you die.
So you're saying that
The
basically
only
the person doesn't have to have
only
a conversation prior
only
to
the people who are beneficiaries are entitled to to see the trust,
the
essentially,
private document.
the private document.
Okay. And when something does happen, like how does that process initiate? Like, okay, now somebody passed. How do you find the trust? Who's got it? Like, where
So
does the kid access it? Because I know when my mom passed, things were done. There were papers everywhere. And we were like, all right, where did mom keep this? We never talked about it because they passed unexpectedly and younger. And I think it catches people off guard, and that's what I'm trying to help people is not catch them off guard. I wanna help people understand and be proactive in all of this. But, like, how does the trust gets, I guess, revealed or talked about or opened up?
yes. So, oftentimes I suggest that they send an electric copy to the trustee or the executor of the estate, also the durable power of attorney. Often it could be the same person, which you mentioned earlier, and at least they will have an electronic copy. In terms of their original hard copy, keep it in a safe deposit box, keep it in your office, keep it somewhere safe. Then you can always reach out to the attorney that drafted it as well. And each attorney is responsible for succession planning as well. So
Okay.
when the time comes, when I'm no longer practicing in many, many years, I will have a succession plan for another attorney to take over my
Okay.
files. And I try to be open when somebody dies. I try to the children or the beneficiaries come into my office and we sit down and we have a conversation and we go through and we go through a checklist about all the things that they need to do. I show them all the documents, the certification of trust, and I show them how to file different affidavits of death, stuff like that. So a good start would be to go to the attorney that drafted it, and I'm sure they would welcome you
So
into
that's
their office.
okay. So it's super important that people have that attorney listed somewhere because my parents will like there was an attorney on there, but I'd never heard of them. I had no idea where they came from. Like, how did my parents even know them? And we just happened like the week before my dad passed, we just had to say, "Do we know what to do?" And my dad's like, "Just finish the will. You want to read it?" And we're like, "Oh, no, la la la. We're the kids. We don't want to hear that."
No.
But we did not contact the attorney because there was no discrepancy and everything was in beneficiaries and there
It
was
was
really
pretty
no
clear.
it was pretty clear like and my brother and I got along. So it was
See, that's a big difference
yeah,
too.
yeah. So I think of the parents that maybe they do have a trust, but they haven't been talking to their kids for the last few years. So now how do the kids know when mom and dad passed how to find the attorney's name? So should this be like in the emergency contacts? I mean, I've talked to people about doing like an emergency list of, all the people. So
I
the trust attorney or estate planning attorney would
I
be the
think
one.
there's different ways to go about to go about it
Okay.
and finding out who the attorney was that drafted it.
What's your best recommendation?
I would look on the Maricopa County Recorder's Office
Oh,
and
okay.
see who recorded their deed,
Ordered.
who
Okay.
requested the recording of their deed.
Okay.
And it's usually lists the attorney that requests the recording of the deed
Well, for the trust.
for the trust when you transfer
When
to
you
the trust.
transfer, because I've heard.
Sometimes even the beneficiary deed, it lists who prepared it.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So that's what
I wouldn't have. I-
I would do. That's why you should reach out to an attorney. They know what to do.
And you'll give all those instructions to everybody.
I would. I would. I absolutely would.
So when you sit down with the family, you would explain like, okay, well, make sure this kid, power of attorney, knows where everything's at.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And not just like leave the parents with papers and here's your
No,
trust.
no, no.
Go talk to your kids.
And I tell the parents, especially elder parents, that I am going to be available for their children. The children can contact me at any time. Afterwards, I am here for them.
Are they allowed to get any information prior to the parents passing? Or is that all
Just depends.
HIPAA or
Mm.
discreet?
Well, it depends. Like if they're a power of attorney, maybe they're trustee,
Okay.
maybe they were already given the trustee powers. It depends on the situation.
Okay. It's good to
Mhm.
know because I wouldn't have known. And I'm sure like as a curious kid, I would be like, can you tell me my mom's stuff? And if I'm not legally allowed to, then I need to know that and why, you know.
Yeah.
But I was just curious because I never thought
The,
about that.
the trustee doesn't have the duty to share the contents of the trust until somebody dies and the people are considered beneficiaries.
Okay. That's exactly what most children probably need. Just a couple more questions and we can wrap it up because I know we could talk a million different scenarios and situations
Yeah.
and things. But what age do you suggest that people get a trust?
I think that it's a good idea for anybody who owns a house. There are some, younger people in their 20s who own houses,
Yeah.
which is
If you're a homeowner, you should definitely have a plan.
I think so.
Okay.
Because you never know what will happen. You
Absolutely.
never know if you might get into a car accident and become unconscious.
Right.
Who's going to make those medical decisions on your behalf? And it's important to think about. I mean, you don't
Right.
want to think about it, but it could happen. And so why not be empowered now?
Right. That makes sense.
And I think it's important too, especially if somebody has different religious desires or religious needs, that they get to write in how they want their memorial service or, their celebration of life or how they want to be interred.
Right.
And it's very important that they get to choose. Some people choose like to play a song really loudly
Mhm.
that they feel very connected to.
So you can do that in your trust. You don't have to like do a pre-planned funeral.
It would not be in the trust, it would be in the final disposition
Okay.
portion of the estate plan.
Okay.
You can also prepare and make plans for your plot or where you want your ashes interred. You can also specify where you want your ashes spread, who you want invited. I mean, it is up to you. And I think that is the key I want to drive home. It's an empowering experience. It's not something to avoid and be anxious about.
Right.
And I try to make it very friendly, very approachable. And I think anybody that has any sort of assets should have some sort of planning.
Yeah. And so say they do it early and on time and everybody's got peace of mind that it's moving forward. How often should they review that?
I'd say every year.
Every year?
Every
Okay.
year they should review it because things change, people change. Maybe somebody's no longer here. Maybe somebody isn't mentally capable anymore of like handling things, being your durable power of attorney anymore. Or maybe somebody just they don't talk to them. Maybe they're busy professionals, and you don't want to put that on their plate anymore. If you end up having more children, or you know,
Yeah.
you
There's
know,
a
there's a
million
million
life
things.
scenarios for sure.
You end up buying another
Okay.
house. You end up inheriting money. You get married. I mean, there's a bunch of different life triggers, and I think just revisiting it
Okay.
once a year.
Now, is it expensive for them to go in and make those modifications if they do review it every year?
Many attorneys like me have a discounted plan, so if they sign up with me, they can pay this annual fee,
Okay.
and that will include any yearly updates that they need.
Okay.
Hmm.
Very good. I think we got like a lot of great basic topics covered for people that have not looked into estate plan
Right.
or trusts or why you want to avoid probate, like all of the things. So,
And I think also just how you want your end of life to look like.
yeah,
Do you want comfort care? I had one person who wanted their life prolonged as long as possible, despite anything that could happen to them. And
right.
so that's very possible too.
Okay.
Some people are absolutely against cremation. And some people are totally for cremation. So
Hmm.
it's all dependent on what you as a person feel is right for you. And you should write it down so it's documented and that the people who are your representatives, they will be responsible for following through with it.
And it needs to be written down and run by run through an attorney and not just a piece of paper. Cause I think people think because they can write it on it, like you said,
Chat,
they've written it down and now it's law. And I think that's where there's a
no,
lot of misconceptions. And I
right.
think people think because they've written down, handwritten their wishes
Right now.
or
Well,
whatever,
it needs to be signed. It needs to be dated. It's important. Some people
hmm,
just write it down and they never sign it. They never date it. They don't notarize
notarize,
it. They don't witness it. When you come to an attorney to do it, you have somebody that actually thinks.
right?
ChatGPT doesn't think.
Right.
ChatGPT could be wrong. ChatGPT did not go through law school.
Okay.
I don't know. It's
No,
just
I get it.
and you want somebody to think about the totality of your estate plan, the totality of your experience as a person. When I do your estate plan, I get to know you. You actually have to sit with me for a couple of hours over the course of our relationship, over the
Hmm.
course of our engagement. We have our, we sit, we talk, we I learn things about your family. I learn things about how you grew up, what your values are. And it's so, so important to have that personal touch that generative AI does not have. So, and then when you come to me, we make sure that we have our witnesses, have our notary, and you sit with me for at least an hour to go through all the signing. I get to
Right.
know you and your family and your values very well.
Right.
And so we become friends.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to be a lifelong partner with you and your estate.
Awesome. And that's good to know too, because I don't think people understand that's why people do what they do. There's a relationship for everyone and find that person that you connect with and can build that relationship with and they can trust. And I think that's with every business. That's all we want to do is work with people that know, like, and trust us and know that we have their best interests in mind at all times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we will always respect their wishes.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's great. Well, Shauna, thank you so much
thank you so
for
much for the opportunity.
giving me some tidbits to share with my community. I want people to start thinking about these things. I want to help people be proactive and do things that are preventative to save you time and money and grief later. So thank you so much, Shauna.
Thank you so
And if
much.
you're interested, Shauna, give me your name, where people can find you,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then we'll put it in the show notes as well. So if anybody wants to find you through that, then they
Lovely.
can
Thank you.
contact you.
Oh, my law firm is Schmeiser Law, PLLC. I'm Shawna Schmeisser. You'll always be contacting me. I try to always have a personal touch. We'll have my phone number, and my website is www.schmeiser.law. Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much. And thank you for listening again today. If you have any topics that you're dying to hear about, reach out to me, shoot me a DM, comment, like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Your parent portal was created to give you peace of mind for your families, for what's coming. I don't want you to be caught off guard. I just don't want you to have to go through what I've gone through, and I feel like I was even blessed with the way mine went down versus I've heard so many horror stories. So just trying to give you as much information as I can to help you live a longer, happier, healthier life. And especially with your family while they're still here and you can enjoy every moment. So thank you so much. And I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for listening to My Parents Lied to Me, where we face the realities of aging, family change, and midlife reinvention with a little grit and a lot of heart. If today's conversation helped you feel less alone, I would love for you to like it, share it with a friend, and hit follow so you don't miss the next story or tip that might help you navigate what's next. Because even if our parents didn't tell us everything, we're figuring it out one chapter at a time.